presentation about developing literacy skills in young learners. So the first slide, I give chance to my sister, Kathy, to present this material. It's time to use.
For the first one is the learning objective. Upon successful completion of this chapter, students will be able to, the first one, define and explain the concept of literacy within the context of young language learners, differentiating it from traditional views of reading and writing. The second one, identify and describe the various foundational literacy skills essential for young learners, including phonological awareness, print awareness, and early decoding. And then analyze the developmental stage of literacy acquisition in young children, and recognize age-appropriate expectation for each stage. Next, evaluate and select effective strategies and activities for fostering pre-reading and pre-writing skills in a teaching English for learners classroom. Next, design and implement engaging classroom activities that integrate literacy development with other language skills such as speaking and listening. Next, critically assess the role of the teacher in creating a literacy-rich environment that supports and encourages young learners' emergent literacy. And the last, develop practical approaches to address common challenges in strengthening literacy among young English language learners in diverse educational settings. Now we move to the introduction. Language learning for young learners is not only about vocabulary and grammar, but also about developing literacy skills. Literacy is important because it supports children's academic success. Today, literacy means not only reading and writing, but also understanding and creating meaning from communication. For young learners, literacy includes awareness of print, sounds, and the connection between spoken and written language. Therefore, teachers need effective strategies to develop literacy in teaching English for young learners classroom.
Okay, everyone, now we move to the concept of literacy in language learning. But in here, I would like to explain to you about the literacy. So, literacy is the broad concept that enables individuals to understand, interpret, and create meaning from various forms of text and communication by Luke and Freedom 1997. And it was defined as the basic ability to read, write, but is now viewed as a social and cultural practice involves interaction between text in different contexts by Street 1944. In language learning, literacy concepts spoken and writing language helping learners to access information and express ideas. For children, it includes developing brain awareness, phonological awareness, and understanding the relationship between spoken and writing language in foundation for reading and writing. Well, literacy also includes the use of digital technology by Leu 2011. Early exposure to interactive digital media such as language learning apps and books supports vocabulary and print awareness development. Well, the next, I would like to explain to you that literacy in language learning for young learning is a multidimensional concept that includes. So the first is functional literacy. So functional literacy is the ability for the student to know how to read, write, and speaking, especially for English in everyday life. And the second one is critical literacy. Critical literacy, it means that the ability of the student to thinking critically about the something. For example, if a teacher teaches a student, especially for the middle high school or the senior high school, the teacher will ask the student how to compare about the narrative text and descriptive text. Based this explanation, we can see that if we would like to compare two texts about narrative and descriptive, it will use critical thinking. And meanwhile, if you would like to teach the elementary school, I will ask my students to compare, for example, two pictures. For example, like a picture of the animal cat and dog. So I would like to ask my students to compare these animals. And if we would like to compare this animal, we should use critical thinking. And the next is cultural literacy. Cultural literacy means that how I will teach my students to understand about the culture in our about culture. For example, in our culture, I would like to explain to you about the symbol of our clothes like songke, rumah adat, and so on. And the next is emergent literacy. Emergent literacy is the early stage of learning before children can read and write fluently. For example, children scribbling as an early form of writing. And the next is recognized letter like A, B, C, and so on. And the next is digital. Okay, digital literacy it means that the ability to use technology. For example, we ask our students to watch on the YouTube channel about the some children activities like some of the song alphabet A to Z like A, B, C. And then the next, we move to the slide. And the next is, in the context of PEL, teacher needs to understand these skills in learning of English as a second language. For the first is pre-reading skills. Pre-reading skill is the ability of the student before they can read. So for the first is phonological awareness. Phonological awareness is the ability to recognize and manipulate sounds in spoken language by National Read Panel 2000. Well, in phonological awareness, there are some types. So for the first is word awareness. And then word awareness, it means that children understand that sentence is made up of the words. For example, I would like to, okay, then I would like to give the example. In here, I would like to write a sentence and you will know how many words is sentence. Like a. So we will know how many words in here. So I ask you, how many words in here? Three. Yes, good job. Okay, and the next I explain about the syllable awareness. Syllable awareness is the how students understand how many syllables in the word. For example, I give in here the word of banana. So we can see in here how many syllables in here?
Three.
Good job. So syllable in here is na. So there are three syllables in here. And the next is rhyme and alliteration. Well, I will explain to you there are the difference between rhyme and alliteration. So rhyme is the same of the sound, especially in the end. For example, like we can see the three of the words in here, they have the the syllable in the end, same syllable in the end, like and. And the next is alliteration. Alliteration is the how the sound of the syllable in the first is same. For example, like big, brown, deer. So we can see in the beginning of the word, they have the same of the alliteration like I, persamaan kata di kalimat awal. Sementara yang rhyme persamaan kata di kalimat yang terakhir. Okay, the next I would like to explain about you the prime awareness. So, prime awareness is understand the print carries meaning and follows certain conversation by Clay 9279. For example, in the print awareness there are types. So the first is recognizing print in the environment. So here that I give the example. The student will recognize like the logos or sign. For example, logo supermarket. For example, the logo of the supermarket. So the student will know the supermarket is the place where the people like to buy the something that they need. And the next is I also give the example here like the sign. So we usually see the sign, especially for example in the door. We can see the sign in the door like open and close. And every sign have the meaning like open and close. And then the next is printers also explain about the book concept. Book concept or the reason of reading different between picture and text. So in here, book concept, I will teach the student to read book from the left to right. It means the book concept. So as we know that if you would like to read a text, we should read from the left to right. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the next is recognize letter, and the next is recognizing letter and words. For recognizing letters, I would like to ask you into a song. Maybe we can sing together like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, so on and so on. And the next is like in recognizing letter and words. I also would like to explain to you the reading simple words. For example, like book. Okay, everyone, who wanted to try to spelling this word? Please raise your hand if you know. Can write it?
Lima.
Yes.
B-O-O-K.
Okay, that's all. Thank you. And the next is function of print. As I explained to you before that every word have the same meaning. So in here like book have the meaning to read it or the sign give the interaction. Maybe next slide. Okay, the next is alphabet knowledge. Alphabet knowledge is the ability to recognize letter name like say and sound. As I explained to you before about the recognize A to Z, A, B, C, D. And the next is a student will know the letter B sound. Like B, the sound is E. So student will understand about every letter and every sound of the letter, and also the shape in here how to write this one. The shape is like this. And the next is vocabulary. As we know, the vocabulary is the basic important if you like to learn new language. In here, a children will understand the word like house, So we can see this is the example of the vocabulary, and then so on. And the next is narrative comprehension. Narrative comprehension is mean that the ability to understand and retell the story. So in here, I would like to give one story, and please, after that, please answer the question. Please listen to me carefully. So the story is a girl named Willa. She lived in a quiet small village. She loved reading books very much. She faced many problems, and she did not have any books to read. But she did not give up, because she asked her neighbor and find some old new books, some old books. She could some old book. In the end, she was able to keep reading and feel happy because she was found a solution from her problem. So based on this story, I would like to ask you, who is the name of the girl?
Ella.
Okay. Well, what the problem that she faced?
She don't have a book.
What?
She don't have a book.
Another? Okay, the problem she faced is he cannot read the book because the library is closed. Okay, the next is pre-writing. So, okay, the next is pre-writing skill. So, pre-writing skill is the ability before student know how to writing skill. So, for the first is fine motor skill. So, fine motor skill is the ability to control muscle in the hand of the finger. For example, in here the student will practice how to writing a text or give the color of the picture, and also like drawing a picture and so on. And the next is letter formation. Letter formation is the learning how to form letter correctly, including stroke, the dissection, and progression. For example, writing a letter R, for example, writing a letter R, top to bottom, and the middle, top to bottom. And the next is writing own name. This is very important, especially for the elementary school. We will teach them how to write their name. So from here, they will understand how to write a word or a sentence. And the next is emergent writing. Emergent writing is the early stage of learning to write. In this stage, children may not write correctly, but they begin to create. For example, scribbling. Scribbling is mean that scribbling is the first step of the student how to practice writing. And the second is driving. Driving is also very important for students to practice writing. And the next is random letter. Random letter is where how students write a word without have the meaning. Like they write A, B, and so on. So we can see in this word there is no meaning. There is no meaning of random letter. And the next is letter sounds correspondence. Letter sounds correspondence is the ability to understand that each letter and combination of letters represent a specific sound. For example, children know that the letter B make the sound of B. Like here, I have an example here. So this is the letter sound. And then like also cat. So the student will know how to letter sounds like C, A, and T. So this is the letter sound of the cat. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, so now we are going to talking about strengthening literacy in TEL classroom. So strengthening literacy in TEL ideal classroom requires a holistic, interactive, and child-centered approach. Given that young learners are building their second language foundation, the strategy used will be engaging, meaningful, provide plenty of opportunities for practice. Here are some effective strategies and effective to foster literacy in PBL classroom. So the first, we talked about creating a literacy-rich environment. The physical environment of the classroom plays a crucial role in promoting literacy. The first one is reading corner. Provide a cozy areas with a variety of the picture storybooks, simple non-fiction books, and children magazines in English. Make sure the book very in-depth and difficultly, as well as visual appealing. So guys, for the example here, when we want to teach our students about the non-fiction books, we need to put some non-fiction book in the classroom, like a hungry caterpillar or the cat and the mouse. Okay, the next one is labels and posters. Labels objects in the classroom, like door, window, chair, with English words. Use posters that feature the alphabets, rhyming words, or common phrase. So, labels here means tanda atau sticker. So, when our children come to class, we need to put some picture in the door, and without the picture, we write down under the picture, we write the words like doors. And our children know when they open, mereka membuka pintu, they know the English pintu is door. Same like a window, like a chair, like a table in the classroom. So, poster here is media informasi. So when they want to know about the media information in the classroom, we need to teach them, like we take some picture. This is apple. This is a ball. We take some picture and show them and tell them this is apple. This is ball. Show them without the picture, and they know this is poster, and it makes them interesting and always remember that. The next one is interactive bulletin board. Create a bulletin board feeding children writing a picture with a label or simple word puzzles. It provides a sense of belonging and motivation. Like I said before, when we want to teach them about the label, we need to put them without a picture, and it makes them interesting about anything in the classroom. The next is easily accessibility print materials. Make sure kids have easy access to paper, pencil, crayons, and makers to draw and write whatever they want. Okay, so in the classroom we need to put some box, and in front the box we need to put some paper, pencil, crayon, and makers, and give to them. We give to them, and we tell to them, like, you can draw anything you want, you can write whatever you want without a pencil, without a crayon, and the makers in the classroom. It makes you need to know that the box easy to access with your children. So the next is engaging pre-reading activities. The first is reading aloud. Reading story aloud is one of the most effective ways to develop your literacy. Buzz et al. 195. First, choose the right book. Use books with compelling pictures, repetitive stories, and relevant vocabulary. So here, guys, you need to give your children some books without a picture, and maybe you need to reading the book without them, and they can know about the stories and the relevant vocabulary from this book. Okay, the next is interaction. Ask questions before, during, reading. For example, what do you see on the cover of this book? What do you think will happen next? And who is your favorite characters? So here guys, when you read without your children in the classroom, you need to ask the question like, what do you see in the cover of this book? And the answer like, this is the hungry caterpillar, mom. And what do you think will happen next? Ask the many questions to them, and they make it, and they can make it nice in English words. Okay, the next is model reading. Show how to hold a book, the direction of reading, and how prints carry meanings. Use your fingers to point at the words as you read them. So here, when you want to read to them some story, you need to use your finger to the point as the word as you read to them. So, like when I give this some example, a hungry caterpillar. So you need to use your finger like this is a caterpillar. The caterpillar found an apple in the tree, and the caterpillar eat the apple. Okay, this is the question. And next is phonological awareness game. Rhyme games. Sing rhyme games, recite rhyming poems, or play what words games rhyme with pain. So in here, you need to sing a song and recite rhyme poems, or playing what word games rhyme with the pain. You need to sing the song, and they can recognize the song. Okay, the next is early sound games. Ask children to identify words that start with the same sound. For example, who can find something in the class that start with the sound B? Okay, we need to play the game, and I want you guys play with me. When I ask you about what is this object in the class. Okay, guys. Okay, my children. Now we would like to make a sound play. The play is you need to show to me what is the object in the classroom. Start with the letters A. Letters B. Sorry.
B, mommy. Back.
Okay, Hendra, good job. Okay, the next is collect syllables. Ask children to collect their hands every time they hear a syllable in the words. Like for example, apple. Apple have 2 syllables, and you need to clap your hands too. 2 claps. Like apple. Apple. Banana too. Banana. Banana. Tree. Use letter cards to merge uppercase letters to lowercase letters, or letters with a picture that start with the sound of those letters. So here guys, we need to take some example like puzzle. We need to take the puzzle in the classroom and give to your children in the classroom, and they match the puzzle and say that the puzzle you made, what is the puzzle you made? This is cats, mom, and cat is my favorite animals in my home. Okay, and the next is writing in the air or sand. Ask the children to write letters in the air or on a sandbar to practice letter information. So here guys, you need to give some activities to your students like, okay children, now we would like. So my children, today we are going to do something fun. Like you need to write your favorite animal, favorite food, the name of your favorite food in the air or in the sand. Like you need to see me like I want to write my favorite animals in down in the air or in the sand. Okay, the next is develop great writing skill. First, a fine motor activity. Drawing and coloring. Provide plenty of opportunity for free drawing, coloring, and plagiarism. So you need to teach your students how to drawing and coloring, and you need to give them the some paper without the dotted letters, garis putus, and they can match that. They can match that in the paper, and you give the another example whatever you want to your children, whatever they want to write without the dotted letters. So the next is cutting and pasting. The activity was cutting paper with children's stories and building them together to make a college helps develop hand-eye coordination. So you need to cutting some paper and give to your students, and then you guys do it together to make a college help develop hand and eye coordination for your children. The next is playing with clay or plastic. Shaping letter or objects with clay strengthens the muscle of the hands. You guys know what is the clay or plastic here? No? Clay or plastic itu tanah liat atau tidak plasticine. Okay, everyone know here?
Yes.
Okay, so you can give some plasticine to your children and give them some activity like you need to make some words in your with your plasticine life. When you want to do something like your name, and you need to make some words from the plasticine. Okay, the next is writing the beginning and writing the name. The first is writing names. Give a children the opportunity to write their own name as often as possible, and by plagiarism, copying, and writing freely. So here, guys, you need to give your children some opportunity to write their own name, or give them some activity, and they need to write whatever they want in classroom. So the next is drawing and writing journal. Ask children to draw something and then try to write about their drawing, even if it's just a scribble or random letters, encourage them to share what they wrote. Like mom give to us make some journal after this presentation. Of course, our children in classroom do something same like us, like drawing or writing some journals. Okay, the next is share writing. Teacher and students write together with the teacher acting as a scribe for students' idea. It models the writing process and shows the relationship between spoken and writing. So you need to make some activities in the classroom and without your children, and you make some scribbles for your students and make some idea, and your children can write whatever they want with your idea, and they can and you guys and your children have relationship between spoken and writing. Okay, that's all from me. The next slide.
Okay guys, we move to the integration of literacy with other learning skills. Literacy should not be though in isolation, but should be integrate in speaking, listening, and vocabulary skills. For the first one is telling stories. After reading the story, ask the children to retell the story in their own words, or create a new story based on the same character or setting. Telling story is a technique where students create a story together by adding sentences one by one. This activity helps students develop their speaking skills, creativity, and imagination. By listening to each other, students learn how to connect ideas and make a meaningful story. It also encourages them to use simple English and be more confident. For example, one student start with once upon a time, there was a little cat, and another student can continue with the cat lived in a big house. Then another adds, one day the cat met a dog, and etc. In the next role-playing games. Use storybooks as the basic for role-playing games, where children act out character and speak dialogue. Role-playing games allow students to act as a character from a story. This technique helps students practice speaking in a fun and interactive way. It also improves their pronunciation, confidence, and understanding of the story. Students can express emotion and ideas using simple English. For example, in a story about a lion and mouse, one student can act as the lion and say, "Who are you?" While another student as the mouse and says, I'm a little mouse. Please help me." And next, team-based projects. Develop team-based learning units that integrate reading books on a theme, writing lists of related words, and talking about the topic. Team-based projects focus on learning through specific topics such as foods, animals, and family. This approach helps students connect reading, writing, and speaking skills. It makes learning more meaningful because students can relate it to their daily life. For example, in the topic of food, students can write, "My favorite food is fried rice," and then say, "I like it because it is delicious." After that, they can say their answer with the class. Next, and the last, proper use of technology. First part, interactive learning apps. Use apps or ebooks designed for children that support phonology, letter recognition, and vocabulary development. Interactive learning apps are useful tools to support language learning. They provide fun activities such as matching words, listening tags, and simple games. These apps help students improve vocabulary and make learning more interesting. For example, students can use an app to match the word apple with the correct picture, or listen to a word and choose the right answer. And the last, animate story videos. Watch animate story videos in age-appropriate English to improve narrative and vocabulary comprehension. Animate story videos help students understand language through visual and audio input. This technique improves listening skills and helps students learn new vocabulary in an enjoyable way. The visual elements also make it easier to understand the story. For example, students watch a video about caterpillar, and then they say, the caterpillar it's an apple, or retell the story using symbols.
So guys, by applying these strategies constantly and creatively, GEDL teachers can create a dynamic and supportive learning environment
digital classroom. Emphasizing that literacy is not only about reading and writing, but also about the understanding, interpreting, and make meaning from various texts. And it highlights literacy as a social and cultural practice that connects spoken and written language. Key literacy skills for young learners include pre-reading and pre-writing abilities. Pre-reading skills include phonological awareness, vocabulary, and comprehension, while pre-writing skills focus on the fine motor skills and letter information. The education also presents strategies such as creating a literacy-rich environment, using engaging activities, and integrating technology to support literacy development. Okay, that's all from the presentation today. Do you have questions, guys? You have a question? Okay, do you have questions, guys? Okay, Grace.
Okay, we enjoy these things for your presentation, but I'm still confused about your learning objectives. In that slide, you say that the critically assess the role of the teacher in creating a literacy-rich environment that supports and encourages young learners and educators. What do you mean about that?
Sorry, Grace, can you repeat it again?
Think about
What do you mean about that?
Okay, Grace. So here, critical access the role of the teacher in creating a literacy-rich environment that supports and encourages young learners' emergence. So here means like the young learners can emerge the literacy without that the support the teacher and the role of the creating literacy